temperature, and it's gone up a couple degrees, and I just feel like crap. Like, but then it goes away. It doesn't take long, 5-6 hours, and then I feel better again. That whole month, I continued to have, especially towards the end, I had a runny nose, sneezing, which was a little bit out of control. And on the 24th of November, I actually had to get in touch with maintenance again because my heat was not working. So on the 24th, I did get in touch with maintenance again, who finally came again and changed out the handy dandy air filter in the HVAC closet. That, by the way, I did not have access to because the refrigerator was blocking it. And I was also told at the time that because it was cold in my house, like the heat was not working. My emergency heat was on. Note this, 85% of when I had to use my heat. So 85% of the winter, my emergency heat kept coming on. And I called maintenance, and they came and they changed out the air filter, which did nothing. And they said they were going to come back and put weather stripping on the door. They never did. Never came back and put the weather stripping. It was a really cold winter in that apartment. It never reached anywhere near the temperature that I set it at in the entire apartment. It was brutal. So that was November. Make sure. So into December, the 4th and 5th, Franklin was throwing up. And it was like, I don't really remember, but I have it noted that it was like a dark, I didn't take a picture of it, unfortunately. Franklin was throwing up multiple times in the course of a day or two. So then the 6th, I had another one of those bouts of abdominal pain on the toilet again, when it was like borderline calling 911. Probably the most excruciating pain physically that I've ever been through. And then on the 14th, I do believe, I got conjunctivitis of the eye. Like pink eye, pretty much. Mind you, I don't see anybody or do anything or go anywhere, so it's really difficult for me to get these things. I got conjunctivitis. That was on the 14th. So then the next day, December 15th, actually for those couple of days, Hoagie was having terrible diarrhea, like terrible. Finally, on the third day, and it wasn't getting any better, and he wasn't drinking any water, I decided to take him to the emergency vet. He was there for about 12 hours. I picked him up. They ran a bunch of tests. They said he just had a bad case of pancreatitis. I felt otherwise. Brought him home. He got worse. So I called the other emergency vet in my area. Begged and pleaded for them to squeeze him in because they couldn't the night before. So they did. They ran some more tests, and he was diagnosed again with a really bad case of pancreatitis. And sent home with a bunch of medication and continued to have diarrhea for the next 2 days. He was, for a whole week almost, he was extremely sick. And then on the 16th, I had that rash really bad on my fingers again, where they're not even usable. Fast forward to the 21st, or before Christmas, and Franklin had another case of bad diarrhea for a good day or two. No change in his food, no change in anything, but he did have the runs for about a day and a half. That was December. And Franklin on the 30th of December bit me. He is not an aggressive dog at all. At all. To anyone, to any animal, nothing. And he actually did bite me. Not, oh my God, bite me, but enough to make me note it, I guess. So then we'll go into the new year. Yay! We did nothing for New Year's Eve. Why not? Because we're probably sick. So fast forward to January. I did notate that the heat was still not working in my apartment as of the 4th. At a period of time somewhere in the end of December, January, I don't know the exact date, Hoagie started his personality. He woke up one day, his personality just completely changed. He started being very anxiety. He did not have this anxiety for the first 4 months I had him. He was, other than being sick, he was a really good dog. He rarely barked, rarely caused any problems. And so one day he woke up and literally started barking 20 hours out of a day, and he would not sleep. He would bark all night. Literally, there was nothing I could do to stop this dog from barking. A dog that went from barking maybe once, twice a day to 20 hours out of a day. Like, insistent. it was so bad. I was not sleeping. It was so, there was nothing I could do to stop this dog from barking. I actually tried to rehome him twice. Both times I got him back. For the same reasons I gave him up. He was out of control. This went on for a good month and a half. I don't think I slept much at all that time. Okay, on the 5th of January, I noticed that Delilah's paws were, the pyoderma on her paws was out of this world. They were big, blistered. They looked really, really bad. Like about to pop blisters. She was limping a little bit hard for her to walk. The same day, the 5th, Franklin bit me again. I noted at this time that all my dogs were acting extremely strange for whatever reason, either not being like lethargic, or Hoagie was anxious. But I think Franklin was like lethargic, I want to say, and just not himself. Delilah as well. All three of them were acting out of character, enough for me to notice. Okay, so then on the 7th, I had a fever, a migraine. I had a fever, migraine. I was nauseous, and I had extreme back pain, which I've had over the course of the last year. I've always had like stagnant back pain, but over the last year it has increased dramatically. I feel like I can't stand up for 10 minutes without having to like sit down or squat or relieve my back. 10 minutes, I'm not that old. So that was on the 7th. My body was feeling really not good. And on the 24th now, I got an extremely bad rash all over my face. Like beet red face, cheeks were burning. Like it was so sensitive I couldn't touch it. It was really, really, really bad. And that was on the 24th. So, fast forward to February. This is so fun. I'm just kidding. I just want to notate that in the month, I did not screenshot it when it happened, and I should have. But it's been already, it's already been dealt with, I guess. The maintenance worker, there's only one at that complex. He somehow managed to find me on Facebook, which is really weird because I don't use my real name. Not that he should have access to my real name, because he should not be privy to the leases, and the lease is in my mom's name anyway. So how the hell he would have found me, I don't know. But not only did he try to add me, which I did not accept, I did notice that he started commenting on my photos. I do not remember what they said, because by the time I realized who it was, I was like, oh my God, because the picture is really tiny, but his name is a little bit unique. But I have since told the office, and she actually confronted him, and he actually admitted it. I went back to try to find the things in my pictures, but he probably went and deleted them because I couldn't find anything. And a side note, the girl in the office is not the best business woman. She proceeded to tell me that I'm not the first girl he's done this to. I'm the third actually, and he's already been reprimanded for it. Why he's still working it, I don't know. Okay, so February. So that really kind of affected why I didn't call maintenance. Not that I'm a big, I don't like dealing with people anyway, but that really made things uncomfortable for me. So my heat still was not working correctly. So come February, on the 5th, I had an infection in my mouth. My cheek blew up like this. Yeah, don't know why, but it was like that for a good week. And on the 11th, I had another migraine and was nauseous and had an extreme sensitivity to light. Delilah reminded me this time, she's got this ongoing thing with, she does not stop scratching. I mean, like, the entire time I've had her, she cannot ever be comfortable. She scratches 24/7. Now on the 12th February, Franklin got conjunctivitis. Franklin got pink eye. Poor little guy. Sorry. Mind you, February was my electric bill, my NYMO bill in February was like astronomical. It was like $500. for 1 month. 1 month. February was really, it was like off the charts. Like if you look on the side of your bill, it was all the way to the top. Sorry. I don't even know if the thing's working, but. So I just wanted to note that. Now on February 17th, I think it was the 3rd. It was it was a weekday night, I remember. I had to work, and it was like a long drive to work, and I was so sick. It was like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive. And I remember it was snowing. I was so sick. I almost didn't go to work, but I ended up going. I remember I did my 45-minute show, and I felt a little better. Got back in the car on the way home, and I got sick again. I was like really sick. I thought for sure it was something in the car, but it's probably whatever was on me. Mold, whoever knows. I don't know, but I never get sick ever, and I was so sick this last year. And now, in retrospect, looking back on it, I guess I didn't even realize it was happening, but, like, looking at my notes, I was fucking sick the whole year. Like, with all different types of shit that conjunctivitis, a fungal finger infection, a face infection. So March is when I started noticing problems in my environment. I started seeing these little tiny puddles in my kitchen. And at the time, the dog's bowls were in the kitchen, and they were little. There was no, maybe like this big puddles, but they would be, I just kept wiping them up thinking they were either the dog water or drool. But after a while, I started noticing they were coming up in the same spots, the same amount of water, whatever. I said, this can't be. So I moved the dog bowls out of the kitchen, and I kept wiping the puddles up. They just kept happening. So this happened for a good couple weeks before I realized anything. In April, I called maintenance, and I was like, for one, I had to wait till I had a male friend of mine there, because I didn't want him at the maintenance guy at my apartment with me alone. So that was a little bit difficult, because I don't have a lot of males in my life. So it was a weekend. I said, I'm going to call now that you're here. So I called on a Friday night. So let's rewind a little bit. On the 18th of March, Franklin broke out with a really bad infection around his face, around his muzzle. It was all like blisters, like really red. It looked like it hurt. And he got it on the bottom of all 4 of his paws. Extremely bad, where he was limping. And the next day he was not acting right. He had a stomach ache and was throwing up. So on the 21st, I did bring him to the emergency vet to get him checked out. Sent us home with some antibiotics. And after the antibiotics, he started feeling, and they took an x-ray of his stomach, and they gave him a sedative. I'll never do that again. That's just a side note. But he was okay after the antibiotics, and that was the 21st of March. It was also at this time that I noticed that Delilah's eyes were extremely watery. When I say watery, I mean there would be like water around her entire eye, like it would be soaked. Constantly itching, her face, her back, everything. But her eyes were really red, bloodshot, and overly watery, like really moist. You could see it from a mile away. And it was around her both of them. So then we go into April, when I called about the puddles that I had no idea where they were coming from, by the way. I did not know where they were coming from. I didn't know if it was condensation, a pipe broken, the dishwasher. I don't know where it was coming from. I just knew that they were the same puddles in the same spots. So there's obviously something going on. So I called the maintenance on a Friday night, because I had a guy friend there, and somebody else from another complex came. And I probably didn't see it as much as an emergency as I should have, because I was actively looking for another place to live. My lease was about to be up, and I was packing, and I was moving, or so I thought. Okay, so let's now get into the part I was dealing with, the apartment complex. What the hell was that? So April 22nd, I called the emergency line. Some guy from another complex that was on call came, and he was really nice. But at the time, I didn't know where the puddles were coming from. I didn't know what it was, so I told him it could have been anything. So he did some shit outside. Said he cleaned like the dishwasher line or something, and said to follow up with my maintenance on Monday. So I did that on Monday, and they literally sent the apartment complex maintenance guy like every time. And the first time, he decided to take out the garbage disposal after me telling him what was going on, and I said, I think it's the dishwasher. So he takes out the garbage disposal, doesn't even tell me. It's still happening. Comes back a couple days later. Now changes all the pipe. He changed all the piping under the sink, even after me telling him, now I'm pretty sure it's the dishwasher. He never once opened the dishwasher. Finished changing the pipes, and the problem is still there. I got fed up with the maintenance, and I found somebody on Angie's list that, I don't know the difference between assessment and inspection, I don't know, that said that they deal with mold. So I called this guy, and he came, and he charged me $100 and told me about the mold, and he actually asked me if he could kindly pull out that refrigerator or the dishwasher for me, which he had to, unscrew whatever and take it out. And we witnessed there was a leak under it. I hadn't used it in a while, because I was actually at this point in and out. I was staying places because I was concerned. So that was on May 12th, because between April 22nd and May 12th, the maintenance came out 3 or 4 times and kept fixing the wrong thing. No matter what I would tell him, he thought he knew what he was doing, and then so that's when I ended up taking out the garbage disposal and then changing the pipes underneath the sink, which neither of them had anything to do with the leak, and never once pulled out the dishwasher. Finally, on May 12th, I hired somebody to come in and just look for mold. I don't know the difference between assessment and inspector, so I went with the cheaper of the two, of course. He charged me $100. He comes up, tells me, yes, there's mold here. Great. I asked him if he can pull out the dishwasher. He does. We find the leak that I've been talking about. Immediately send the video to the office, and they call me the next day. Oh, we're going to give you a new floor in a couple weeks. Oh, okay. So from May 12th, when I hired that guy, and we found the leak, not the apartment complex, they just kept not understanding me when I'm saying, I think it's the dishwasher, and they must have ignored me. But so between May 12th and May 25th was the day that the floor was changed out. Oh, I'm sorry, May 23rd, the floor was changed out. The day that the floor was getting changed out, maintenance also came, and because my air conditioner's not working again, and asked me what was going on. I told him my air conditioner's not working. He changed the filter yet again, even though you should be changing it once every 6 weeks or whatever. The only time they seem to change it is when I call them, and they think that's going to fix a problem fix-all, and it's not. Hold on one second. I just put like a snippet of them working on when they were changing the floor. I never really, I was been so focused on the HVAC, because she insisted that the floor guy said there was nothing underneath the floor. What is that white stuff? What is that white stuff that was underneath the floor? And if there was no moisture, which how could there not have been? The leak was going for 2 months before you guys changed the floor. Why did they go to their car and bring in this big old fan and let it sit for like an hour or two? This changes the whole dynamic of this entire thing, because I think this has something to do with it. I Googled what that white powder chalky shit is. It's a sign of water intrusion and mold. So the day that was, May 23rd, they came and changed out the floor, maintenance, changed the filter. After everything was said and done that day, I smelled mold so bad. I had never smelled it before. I didn't even know what was going on before. I wasn't even sure it was mold. I knew there was a leak. But after May 23rd, the smell started. Very pungent, earthy, like wet, damp, like someone that hasn't dried their clothes correctly and they're wearing them. Whoever did something on that day instigated this smell. So at this point, I'm thinking it's the floor, because there was a leak for a long time before I finally established where it was, and the floor was starting to warp because of the leak. So who else? Well, I'm assuming it's the floor that's giving the mold smell. And just to know, after they changed the floor, literally not even a week later, it started like to deteriorate. Like there was like holes in it. So mind you, during this, the smell is now in the air. My air is still not working. So I was told that on May 25th, the heating and cooling company was coming to look at my, whatever the thing is in the closet there, HVAC. They never showed. And I was not even staying there all the time at this point. So I came back to meet them and they never showed. That was May 25th. I wrote an email the next day. I was very upset. Like, this is ridiculous. The smell, and I told them about the smell of mold, and I said, Family Dan's, the company, never showed up yesterday. So, she was apologetic, whatever. So, on June 1st, the smells now, I'm not really staying there a lot, but I told her it smells like mold. So, on June 1st, Family Dan's, the heating cooling company, did show up, and it was Friday afternoon. He didn't say much to me. He was an older gentleman, did his thing. Sorry. He worked in the HVAC closet for like a half hour, 45 minutes. Left, didn't say 2 words to me, so I was like, okay. So this was on Friday afternoon, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I just assumed that my air would be working. It wasn't. Monday morning, I then messaged them again and said, this is not working. And she said that he had filled the refrigerant and that was it. Well, that's not the problem because my air is still 15 degrees lower than what I'm setting my temperature at. It's hot, if it was real hot outside, the air, it would be like you didn't have air on. It was brutal in there at points. It was like 78, 79, 80. And that's a little hot for me when I want it to be 70 and below.